G'day everyone, Daniel Anderson here. Now, Viva Amplify has a lot of functionality for you to be able to manage and streamline your internal communications. And what we're going to take a look at here is how Viva Amplify can manage an entire email campaign, specifically around the launch of Copilot, in an automated, hands-off manner. So what we're going to do is we're going to build out a campaign. We're going to create a lot of different publications, and then we're going to schedule those publications to be automatically sent out on a specific schedule, meaning that you can then be hands-off and go about and do other things and create other campaigns as well. So let's get stuck into it. Okay, so let's start to build out our campaign all around the rollout of Copilot. So we can see here that I'm in Viva Amplify, and the first thing we're going to do is create our campaign. So I'll flick over to the Campaigns tab and create a campaign. So we'll create a campaign. Let's call this Taking Flight with Copilot. So we'll give that the name of the campaign. We won't worry about the description. Now what you can see here is that it's actually going to create a SharePoint site in the background for us. So we're going to potentially have multiple people managing and running this campaign and involved in it. So we need a space for us to be able to collaborate and store assets and things like that. So this is a good thing about Viva Amplify, is that there's some things going along in the background that just make it easier for us to manage the life cycle of this campaign. So let's choose yellow for our thumbnail color, and we'll click next. Now here is where we can add our members for our campaign. So I know that Adele is going to be part of this campaign, and so is Alex, and we'll bring in Nesta as part of this as well. So now we've got our members, we then go ahead and create our campaign. So that's setting everything up in the background, creating a space for us to collaborate in, a SharePoint site in the background as well. And then once we've done that, once that's done, we can then start to create and build out our publications. So first of all, we're taken to the overview page. We can see that we've got a couple of different tabs here. So we've got our campaign brief where we would fill out our campaign objectives and also the key messages that we want to drive throughout the entirety of this campaign. We've then got the publications tab, which when we create our publications, they will all appear inside of this tab. And then we've got the reporting tab so that we can measure the impact and the success of our different publications. So let's create just the frameworks for our campaign. So this is going to be a 7-week campaign. We're going to have 7 separate, and it's just going to be done via email. So what we're going to focus on here is the email as the distribution channel. It's an email marketing campaign, similar to what you might see or what you might create externally to customers and that side of things. So we're going to, first of all, let's create our first publication. So we'll build our first publication from scratch, and then the others will then follow. So let's choose, what we might do is let's choose a blank template to start with. So we'll create our first publication. Now this is going to be week 1. All right, so you see when we create based on a blank template, we're actually creating a SharePoint page. So that's the whole concept here. It is going to be tailored to email as well. So we'll get a nice experience inside of Outlook. Now, I mentioned before, we're just going to focus on an email marketing campaign this time. So we're going to turn off our distribution channels of SharePoint and Teams and just choose our Outlook as our distribution channel. Now, the first email that we are going to create is, let me just open up the email that we're going to create. So rather than actually creating this in Outlook, we're going to use Viva Amplify and a SharePoint page. So let me just bring up the email that we're going to use. All right. So we're going to give this a title. So there's the title of our first email message in our first campaign. All right. Now, what we want to do is we want to create a nice experience. So we're going to change the title logo here, and I've got a few images that we're going to use. Here is the hero image that we're going to use as part of our header. You can see that we can change our focal point, but I think having it right about there looks pretty good. Now, let's create our first section. So we've got our section here, and we're just going to use a single column section for this first part. So I've got a our pre-written email over here. So I'm just going to paste in first of all, I'll paste in the text that we're going to use as the title, and I'll change this across to a H2. I've then got my next paragraph. So I'll just build this out now. I'll just place this as plain text. Now the next part here, we're going to, again, we're just going to copy the text from the email, and we'll paste this as plain text. But what I want to do is I want to format this in bullets. All right. So we've got this. We might want to do, highlight a few bits and pieces here so we can go quickly summarize. We'll just bold and do a little bit of formatting just to break things up a bit as well. So it's looking good. So there's our first section and our introduction to our email done. Now I'm going to, for the next section, I'm going to add, the next part of the email, I'm going to create a new section. So I'm going to split this, and I'll do a 1/3 right section. Now I want to visually break this up a little bit too. So I'm going to edit this section. You can see that we've now got the capabilities of our backgrounds in SharePoint 2. Now I'm going to use something that's really, really new, and I'm going to add my own background image to this section. So I'm going to upload, we'll just use this same image here, and let's have a look at how we can style the background image. So we can see that we've got more settings here, and we've got different fill modes, we've got different overlay colors. And the one that's going to work really well, we'll build this out, and we'll have a look at the different overlays and what impact that has on the text and what we're going to put in here. So I'm going to add a new web part, and I'm going to choose image. And the first section we're going to have a look at or highlight is actually around Copilot in Microsoft Word. So I'm going to upload an image of Word, and we're going to use that on the right-hand side of this section. Now, in the left-hand side of the section, I'm just going to add a text web part, which is obviously going to be where our text is going to reside. So I'll just grab the text that I want to use in this section, and we'll paste that in here. Paste as plain text. That has a copy properly. So let me just grab that text again. So we'll copy this, and we'll just paste as plain text. Let's just make this a heading. So we'll make this heading 2. And there is that. And I'll just grab some more text for the body of this section, and in 2 parts. So we'll just paste as plain text, and then also the next sentence as well. We'll just enter. And that gives us the basis of our first section. Okay. Again, we'd probably format the text. We might want to maybe make these bold, for example. So we can do a little bit of formatting here, maybe italize this too. All right, so we're pretty good to go. All right, so there's our first section. Now, let's have a look at how we can sort of make this a little bit more graphically and visually appealing. So let's put a dark gradient over the background here. And you can see that we can change the direction. So what I might do is, because we've got some white text on the left, let's change our gradient direction from left to right. So that way the left-hand side is a little bit darker, the white text sort of pops out a little bit on the page. So that gives us a really good starting point. Now, the great thing here is we can just duplicate this section as well. But I want to reverse for the next section down. What I want to do is I want to reverse this layout. So I want to do a 1/3 left and a 2/3 right. So the next section that we're going to do, actually, let's change this image out, because the first section is actually going to be around teams. So here, what we might do is let's just not duplicate this. We'll duplicate that image, but we'll drag this image down on to the second section, which is going to be Word. Let's change this image out to a Teams image. So we'll upload the image of Teams. There we go there. And now that's got the right image for the content over on that side. Now, again, what I'm just going to do here is I'm just going to duplicate this. I'll copy it, I'll drag it, and I'll pop that down into the section underneath. Now, this section here is going to be about work. So let me just grab our Word content. So we'll copy this, we'll copy our heading, we'll paste it as plain text, and then we'll just grab the body of what we're going to write in here. We'll just paste that in there, paste as plain text, and we've now got our second section. So we'll just do a little bit of formatting, we'll put some spaces in there. So I'm just going to keep that as a white background, all right? And then we're just going to stagger these sections as we go along. So the good thing here is I can now duplicate this entire section. So I'm going to duplicate that, and now I can drag this section underneath the number 2, and now we've got that same layout. We just need to swap out the image and the text and probably the background image as well. So we might change the background to something else, but let's delete that. And we might go for just a bit of a different color scheme. So let's go for this color scheme here, all right? And the third one we're going to do is we're going to use PowerPoint for our third one, all right? So we'll just do PowerPoint. So I'll grab the text for PowerPoint and we'll just paste that in here. And we need to change the image. So I'll just edit the image and we'll change the image. I'll upload and I'll grab the PowerPoint image this time and we'll use that on the right-hand side. Let's just change this to a H2. And let me just have a look at my text, make sure we've got the right stuff happening. And let's just delete all of this. And I'll grab just a couple of paragraphs here. Go that one, and then we'll go that one. And we're good to go. So there's the concept of how we're going to build out our email campaign or our first publication. So with the beauty of editing and speeding up things, we're going to build out the rest of this, and then we'll come back and have a look at how we schedule things out. All right, so we've built out our first publication. So we're going to click on the next button in the top right-hand corner here. And this is where we can take the next step if we wanted to, all right? So we can add our email recipients. We can send ourselves a test email as well. And what we'll get on the left-hand side is a preview of what this particular publication is going to look like in the email client. So we can see there that we've got a fairly nice looking email campaign that's going to come through to all of our recipients. But you can see, depending on the format and how you lay out your page, will determine how this flows into the email. So you can see the background image we don't get, okay? So that was from the SharePoint side. So when we're utilizing background images and background sections and that type of thing, you'll also see that when we use that layout in SharePoint, that what we see here are these images are actually stacked on top of each other, which is probably, we don't really want that, okay? So what we might do is jump back into our main draft. Because we're focusing on email, we want to make the experience in the email client really, really nice. So rather than staggering this in the draft like this, what makes a little bit more sense is if we just flip these over, all right? So if we just make sure that these now follow sort of are stacked on top of each other in this manner. So if we go like this, that's okay, that's okay, that's okay. And then we've got, we might do the same thing for this one, all right? So we're just going to move our text over onto the right, and then our image back over onto the left, like that. And then let's have a look and see what that looks like. So we'll click on next, and then we'll have a look in the email client and see what that looks like. So we can see that we've got our image, our text, our image, our text, our image, our text, our image, our text. So that flows a lot better from an email perspective, okay? So that's looking pretty good, all right? So we can send ourselves an email, and it's been sent to Megan's inbox. So if we jump over to email, we'll go into Outlook. What we'll see is an example or a test email very shortly of what that actually looks like. So we'll come back to that when it pops through. And then if we jump back to Viva Amplify, what we can now do is, well, it is a draft at the moment, okay? So the publication status is in draft. If we're ready to schedule this, then we could schedule to publish, all right? But we need to add our recipients first. So if we click on Add Recipients, and we'll get all this lined up and set and ready to go, we can get the whether we've got an all company email distribution list or something like that. We could then send this email out and schedule it out to that group of people. So we've got that set. The draft is set. If we go back to the main draft now, let's save and close this. Or we could save this as a template as well. So let's save and close, because we're not ready to schedule everything yet. So let's jump back to the campaign. And what we would do here is when we're building this out, so we've got our publication in draft format, we would then go ahead and build out and create all of our next 7, well, in our case, we've got a 7-week campaign. We'd build out our 7 emails, get them all lined up, ready to go, which, again, using the power of fast forwarding, we're going to create all those. We'll come back and then we'll schedule them and line all of them up so that they're all ready to go and scheduled out and in an automated fashion.
All right, so now we've got all of our 7-week campaign and our publications all ready to go. We can see on the overview page, we get a little bit of a snapshot into our recent publications. But when I click on View All, you'll see that I've got all of my publications now in draft mode, ready to go. You can see that they're all been set just to the Outlook channels, and we are ready to now schedule all of our publications. So the first one, we want to come down to Copilot for Microsoft 365. It's a whole new way of working. That's our first email that we're going to send in our campaign. So we're going to schedule to publish. So we'll click on schedule to publish. And now what we can do here, we can get a publication summary, and we can see who it's being sent to because we set that previously. And now we can click next. Now what we want to do is schedule when we want to publish that out. So I'm going to click on my little calendar. We're going to send that out on Tuesday. So these campaigns are going to be sent out weekly, every single Tuesday. All right. So I'll go June 18, and now we'll set a time. We'll let everybody come into the office to get their work done. We'll say 9:30 a.m. and we'll schedule that. So all we need to do now is then we just schedule our next one. So we'll go to publish, we'll go schedule to publish. It's going to be a week after the 18th. But what you'll notice here is that this publication hasn't been finished yet. So you can see here, it's missing the requirements to publish. So let's have a look at what this actually means. So what that means is that we haven't set who this email is actually being sent to. So we need to set that. So if we click on edit, we need to then send or set who this particular email is going to be sent to. So we're going to send it again, obviously, to all staff, and we'll click all company, and that now we'll save that. And now what we can do is schedule our publication. So we'll hit save. And then we should be good to go. So we'll hit, let's have a look and see what's happening here. So we'll just hit the refresh button, and that will then give us the ability to publish. Again, similar to before, we can then, let's cancel this. We'll go publish, we'll go schedule to publish, and we'll go next. Now, remembering we're doing it on a Tuesday, The 18th was the first, the 25th will be the second. Let's send this out at the same time so that we're nice and consistent. And now we'll schedule that. So again, here, that's now been scheduled. Let's pop back to our campaign page. So we'll just navigate our way back to Viva Amplify. We'll go to our overview and we'll go to view all our publications as part of this campaign. And you can see that we've got our 2 that now have been scheduled and ready to go. So let's go through now and schedule the rest, and we'll come back and have a look. All right, so now we've scheduled all of our publications to go out in this campaign. We can see that they're nicely scheduled, a week apart, every single Tuesday, being sent at the same time, 9:30. So now that is on autopilot, and now what we can do is look at these reports. So when it comes to reporting time after these have been sent, we do have this reporting tab here that we can report on the success of each individual publications. And if we need to adjust as we go through, then we can also adjust things if we need to as well. It might be a specific day that we want to change, or maybe the time that we want to send that subsequent publications we might want to change. But that gives us a really nice automated way to now send out our email marketing all around our Taking Flight with Copilot campaign. So I hope that brings you some value today. Viva Amplify, internal email marketing on automation. Set up your publications and put it on autopilot.